What's going on, everybody? How you guys doing? We are back with Joe Garcia and our special guest, Cory Kleinfeldt, also known as AKA Coach K. How you doing, Cory?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Not a
Great to see
problem.
you, Coy.
Not a problem. So we have some topics today, or tonight, and or whenever you guys are watching this. We've got we're talking about your launch pad. So you're going to be featuring it on Dent Trainer. It's a kind of like a little business education. There it is, right there. And then we're going to kind of get into some subjects, mainly that might touch base on that. You're going to open up about what that's about, and then Joe and I, we've been talking and discussing about PDR emotions, like, and when it gets slower, some people have emotions but they're not aware of. It can cause them to have anxiety, or it could have them maybe panic a little bit, or it regardless, it gets slow. And we've been through this, I even myself, and we have that thing like, oh man, we got to check everything. That is the website doing this, or when a phone call goes, we're doing everything, doing all the checks, but sometimes it makes us not even want to answer the phone because we don't want to get disappointed. So these are some of the things we want to talk about. And then we're going to talk about the PDR quick quote board. A lot of people have been asking us since Joe and I have been talking about it, and since I've done a video. By the way, Cory, I'm not even sure you're aware, but Joe's definitely aware. I put that video on Facebook and it went ultra viral, dude.
You told me that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So right now it's sitting at 17.3 million views, right?
Oh,
There's was over 1,000 comments. I had to delete a few, and then I just can't even keep up with them. I can't even. It was a mess. So we'll talk about that a little bit if we got time. Okay. But anyways, that's our topics. Cory, welcome, dude. So let's not beat around the bush, man. What the hell is PDR Launchpad about, dude?
Oh, yeah. So straight to the point, PDR Launchpad is basically my version of how, what's up, Matt Armillo? My version of how I can help the industry launch their business off the ground. So when I started doing my coaching thing at Coach Cory K, I was doing a lot of one-on-one coaching. There's a better repair, Jared Kirk. He actually went through the Launchpad. But so basically what I was doing one-on-one coaching. That's how it started. It was expensive because my time's expensive, obviously, as a PDR tech. So the one-on-one coaching was an expensive program, although it was very great, but it wasn't for everybody. So with the goal of trying to be able to help more people in the industry, I created something called the PDR Launchpad, which essentially was a group coaching program. I ran 2 sessions of it. The first time I had eight techs go through it. Second time I had 7 techs go through it. So we had 15 total. Jared was one of them. Basically what we did was 8 live videos, 1 per week with challenges at the end of them. Basically start to finish how you grow your business, literally from the most minute detail stuff of LLC versus S corporation, insurance, garage keepers, and then you got more advanced. So basically how to sell, how to brand yourself, how to create a website, how to walk into dealerships, how to walk into body shops. Basically every single thing that I learned from 10, 15 years doing those things, I put into this video course and taught it live. That program was fairly expensive. I think I charged $750 for that program for the 8 weeks. So in an effort for me to provide value for the most people, I think this was a perfect program to be able to put into a video series. So now it's a 30-part video series, anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes, basically going through each step of that program. So about how to start your business. I think a lot of people have done a great job, including yourself, Mike, about teaching people how to fix dents. And that's important. Obviously, there's great trainers out there. There's a couple online training programs now, things like that. But I feel like it always got lost in the weeds about, okay, now I kind of have this skill. Like I know the theory of how to push metal, but I still don't know how to start a business, And quite frankly, pretty much every person that comes out of training school has to start a business. There's very few jobs available. There's not a lot of dent guys looking for other dent guys right now. And so how can I help people start the business? The PDR Launchpad is my answer to that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, give us an idea. Like, what do you think is probably the most common thing that people actually need to know about the business? I mean, what do you think is a very important lesson in your
Oh man, the
in
most
there?
common one, I would say, I mean, there's 30 videos in there, and I think each one of those is a very important thing each person needs to know. Man, I don't know if there's a
I wouldn't say
most
I wouldn't
important
call it
one.
in like that. None of them are not important, but I
Yeah.
mean, like, what do you think the most that drives the most attention or the most needed part of that launch pad?
I think is making yourself look like a legitimate business.
Mhm.
And that encompasses multiple things. That encompasses an online brand or presence, personal brand or presence, and the way that you present yourself into dealerships and body shops and with your customers. I think that there's a fine line between a mobile dent repair guy, which most guys coming out of training are. Most guys aren't coming out of training straight into a shop rental situation, right? I don't know. Maybe you know better than I do, but very few. There's a fine line between a mobile dent repair technician and what we would call a dent gypsy. So how do you make that separation? It's professionalism. And that's very simple to do nowadays because you can build your own websites. Mobile Tech RX as one option. Um, that's awesome. Where can I get online training? Ahmed needs you. Um, there, there's more options now. You can Mobile Tech RX to solve some of the professionalism problems. You can get t-shirts, hats, logos, everything's so much easier now. And I don't think people put enough credit into that about making everything you're doing look legitimate. Even though you may not feel like a real PDR guy 2 weeks out of training, but you got to look like that, and you'll
Yeah,
start to feel like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. That's pretty good.
So I would
I,
say that's the biggest thing.
Joe, would you got any questions for
Well,
Mr.
first off, man, I'm impressed, because you sound really super confident, Cory, and I think that's the big draw from, I go back to the days when I first started. Heck, not even when I first started, man. Even to this day, confidence is key, and when you're starting out, for sure, it's tough, man. Not only to possess the skills to do adequate level PDR, but also just approaching the prospects and what are the prospects, and I'm sure you cover all that too as well, Cory.
Yeah.
Like is wholesale versus retail, is it pretty much across the board?
Yeah, we cover wholesale, retail, body shops, dent warranties. Really, the only thing I don't cover in there is hail damage because I don't feel like I'm an expert in hail damage, so I'm not going to try to teach people that.
Sure.
And someone just commented, availability is your ability. It just said a user on there, but that's one of the things. So that's one of the things I teach in the program is brand new guys starting out. They can't compete with me and Mike on quality of dent repair, right? Or there's a guy in every major city. You're not going to come out and be like, oh, I'm better than that other guy that's been doing it for 15 years because it's not true, right?
Sure.
So that's okay. What ability do you have? Like if someone was starting in Sacramento tomorrow, just got trained from Mike and they're coming into Sacramento, what ability do they have that I don't? And it's availability, just like someone just commented. Like I'm busy. I run multiple technicians. I have a shop. I don't go visit my dealerships every day. I don't go visit my body shops every day. Right. So it's twofold. You have availability, which I don't have potentially. Yes. And the other thing is that not every customer out there needs top-notch quality repair. The PDR price guide Paul Corden Porsche customer does, and that's not your customer 3 weeks out of training, right? Where I started was what we would affectionately call rock lots. Is where I learned, and those people actually would prefer your availability and your less expensive pricing and your not as good of dent repair compared to a Porsche dealer or even like a Ford dealer or something. So just understanding and being humble enough to acknowledge where you are in business and the things that you need to go do, the time that you need to put in order to become these people that you see online. And you can name a bunch of them from Mike to Gene Fetty to, they're all over the place, right? These famous dent guys, quote unquote. It takes a while to get there. And that's okay.
Yeah. I think Cory too is like, people really need to know, especially the beginners who come out and they want to start their business, is that they really need to identify what their ideal client is going to be. right?
Yep.
I think a lot of people think that, hey, you just need to get customers, and they've been taught, let's just throw in a net and see what we catch, right? And they get confused on what they should really be looking for. So is there any help in guiding lines on that?
Yeah, I do. There's a couple videos on there just finding a specific niche. And Jared Kirk was a good example of this because he was really into like the classic vehicles, the 50s, 60s vehicles. And there's a lot of different things that if you're coming into Sacramento and you like classic cars and you want to fix classic cars, there's a lot of things that you can do that I'm not doing because I don't necessarily want those vehicles, right? There's classic, there's headliner shops that do classic. There's retrofit for classic places. You just start visiting. So you pick the niche you want to go into, right? And then you start visiting the places that cater to that niche. Who are those people? They're typically 60 plus people that have extra money to throw around. And here are the places they hang out. Here are the places they get their car fixed. Here's where they are online, Facebook forums, most likely, or other just online forums. Where are these people? And you start going to interact with those people. So you find a niche and you go a direction that I'm not going to go. And quite frankly, in the classic car spot, almost no one's going. So if you you do the market research in your area, and if you identify that that's a niche that's not taken, you can go fill that niche. And you want to get a successful business quick, find a niche that no one else is doing and go do that.
Listen, everybody, if you're just joining us, right, we got Cory Kleinfeldt, also known as Coach K. He's launching a business course called PDR Launchpad on denttrainer.com pretty soon. So we will have some links down there. We'll talk about that too. We'll have him on a few more times too as well in the future, so you guys can learn more about that. But this is our subject here, and we are going to be touching a little bit more on other subjects as well. So if you're just joining us, this is what the subject's about. So go on, Cory. I didn't mean to interrupt you. So
no, man, absolutely. Yeah. And thanks for watching live, guys. It's awesome. If you have any questions too, I know live interaction is great. I'm perfectly happy with that. I can see them pop up and then they go away, but
yeah, it's late. We usually have a little bit earlier. We're usually a couple hours earlier, but
I pushed you guys back. Sorry, I got soccer practice. I got to take the kids to soccer practice.
It's all good, man. It's all good. Cory, real quick, if you look at the right side of your screen, you might see the comments on there. And or it says private chat.
There she is. Look at that.
Okay, so you can read the comments there. So
I was in private chat and not in comments. Cool.
Yeah, I've done that so many times, man. So
Ray, let's go with Ray A is looking forward to it. I'm famous.
Dent trials, yeah.
Heck yeah.
You're pretty decent tech too, dude. By the way,
you're no slouch.
No,
second place, baby.
That's no small feat either.
Second place. If you ever need someone to get first loser, call me up, dude. That's my spot. I mean, come on. If like Bryce and John would stop competing,
what's up, Joshua? Go Bolts, man. Josh is a big Charger fan like me, dude. So
I saw you were at the game with your friends from Vegas. Can't think of their name off the top of my head.
Ray Gonzalez. I'm actually training his daughter and his son right now.
Again? Or
no, a different the last two.
Not Melinda. They're all in it, dude.
No, the whole family is pretty much in it, dude. That's awesome. You know what they say: you train one bean, you got to train the whole burrito, dude. So.
Is that what they say?
I'm not even gonna laugh at that.
No, that's not funny.
Hey, so how many push-ups did Ray end up doing?
He did, I think, 20 push-ups, dude.
Right on, man. Well, at the rate he's going, by the end of the year, he's going to be a fit mofo, man. So.
I don't want to fool you, man.
The rate the Broncos are going, right?
Yeah.
I see Joshua Drago said, I got to watch this tomorrow. He got an early morning. Dude's been like grinding. Every morning he's got his pictures up about him.
Matt was there too, Matt Armeo. So we were with Matt too. So
all right.
Nice. Matt Armeo's at everything, dude. Does he push Dent? He's at
he finds the time, dude. So listen, let's get into another subject too. But so how many courses or lessons are going to be in this course, Cory? When are you planning to release it before we get into a different subject?
So I'm going to expand it a little more too, if that's okay. Please. Maybe it'll take time. So in this, there's 30 videos. So there's basically 30 lessons. They range from anywhere from 5 minutes to 20 minutes, and the title of them tells you exactly what you're going to learn. So what I would recommend is basically watching a video or two and then going and applying that stuff in real life. If you watched all 30 videos in a row, it's probably several hours worth of stuff, but then it would be too much. So I would say watch a little bit, go do it in real life. Watch a little bit, go do it in real life, right? And it's there forever. You right? You buy the program. We partnered up together. You buy the program on Dent Trainer. You can go back and watch it again. And so, in addition to this PDR Launchpad, I'm also launching something else at the same time, and it's basically another thing is. In a business, right, we find problems and we try to solve them. That's really what business is all about. And so I identified a problem in the industry is that there's people that go online and ask like, hey, I want to get trained. Where should I get trained? Right. Or where's the online source or where's the in-person source? So Mike, you were a part of this too. And this was actually a project I was working on in October of 2021 that I had to shelve because my dad passed away, as you know, and maybe everyone doesn't, but anyways, I interviewed basically the top 11 trainers that wanted to come on for a podcast. I interviewed them. I asked them all the same exact questions, and I made it into an entire blog. So basically, if someone asks the question, where should I get trained? We can send them to this blog. It has an associated podcast with every single one and a YouTube video to answer that question. Where should I get trained? Well, it depends, right? How much money do you want to spend? What kind of training are you looking for? How long do you want to go? Who do you connect with? Do you connect with Mike or do you connect with another trainer somewhere else in the country, right? Do you not want to fly to San Diego when you're on the East? Anyways, so I'm releasing all that stuff at once, basically, is that training thing and then the PDR Launchpad together. My hopes are that I can give technicians more of a pathway to success in the industry with learning how to fix dents and then learning how to actually start and get your business off the ground. So that's kind of a full, it's been a long-term project that I've been working on that I'm ready to release. I'm going to drop all the podcasts on October 31st. That's the day that my dad died 1 year ago today. So I figured it would be a fun something else I could think about on that day. So I'm going to drop all the podcasts on that day.
Yeah.
And then the videos will be live somewhat soon after that on Dent Trainer. So it's something I've been really looking forward to doing and trying to help the industry with. And so it's ready.
Well, Cory, again, we understand what happened with your dad, at least, personally, the close people did. But we just, again, want to give our condolences to you, man. I know it's tough losing a family member that close and that young. So I can imagine, I understand, and I don't want to imagine, but I please, I just want to tell you, my thoughts are always with that, dude. So
yeah, I appreciate that. And the Dent community is amazing. In that way too. We all care about each other in, maybe you can say it in some odd way, through dent repair. Some guys I never even knew. And I know people pass away and I feel it. Like, I know it's hard. And not only was he my dad, he was my boss too. So I took over the business the next day and there's just all the things that went along with it. So I basically had to look at my plate, which was one-on-one coaching, running that weekly podcast, this project, all those things. And I had to take some of it off and I said, shelve them. Like, literally, I literally wrote a list down of all the things that I did every single week. And I'm like, this one's gone, this one's gone, this one's gone, this one's gone. And now I got to focus on making Dent Pro work, So it's hard, but I don't know. What are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? We don't need to go down that road. You can listen to my podcast. It's like episode 90 in the 90s somewhere. I talk about it like literally right after it happened. So I've actually gone back and listened to it just to kind of get my state of mind after that. But it's been a wild year for sure. For sure.
That's a great thing about podcasts and things like that, man. It's like a biography. It's like a journal, but you're actually can record what you said and what you've done. And what a true good person, if you look at that, and just take a look at this, Cory, and Joe, this, dude. If you go back and look at yourself, how much did you change?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
now you can change mentally, but I'm saying your personality, was it the same demeanor? You know what I mean? Or were you a spike? You were this person this year, and then you were,
Right.
this person this year. You know what I mean? Like some people, like they transform into different hats, right? They see somebody that they admire, and then they try to be that person for that year until it wears off, because it's your true inner self never, shall I say, never goes away. You know what I mean? It always ends up surfacing out regardless if you don't work on your personal self. I think that has a lot to do with our PDR business as well, Cory. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to understand who you are first before you can actually let other people know who you are. Does that make sense?
Sure. 100%. I mean, there's a lot of, like, self coaching mentality things about that too, where it's like authenticity, right? That's that word that gets thrown around a bunch, but that's the real thing. I think if I say it, or some other, more famous coach of some sort says be authentic, a lot of times people want to try to be more like that person's authenticity. But that's not true. Being authentic to yourself. And that's actually quite literally the hardest thing to do. Because, like, for instance, when I started coaching in the dent industry, no one was saying that word. Like, when I called myself the PDR coach and start talking about coaching, there was a bunch of people talking about how dumb that was. Like, a bunch of flack coming back about, life coaches or this, like, bringing that type of mentality, that like coaching or more like vulnerable type of talk with other dudes was like, that's not blue collar type of stuff. And so there's a little bit of pushback on it, but that's just who I was. And I'm like, I was really nervous about actually doing that, calling myself PDR coach, starting a podcast and just talking about that stuff. But it's who I was. It's authentic to me. Like, if you knew me in real life, like, that's the shit that I say in real life. And so I started doing it out in the open. And it's always going to be hard. So I think when you want to be authentic and you think, oh, I should say this, and you're like, maybe I shouldn't. It's not going to. That seems too difficult. That's probably the thing that you're supposed to say.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense, Cory. I mean, before you were ever a PDR technician or employee or owner, you were the son of a PDR technician, and business owner. Mm-hmm. So I'd imagine you came in with a different mindset, for lack of a better way of putting it. And it's reflected, because a lot of people I know listen to your podcast and they go back to it and refer to it because of that. And what we do here too is same kind of along the same lines. We can go back into some of our early podcasts and where Mike and I were just talking on the phone, and it, it was really more about mindset than anything. The PDR almost is secondary to some degree.
Yeah. So, I think my dad was like my original client, to be honest with you, looking back on it over the last year. I think people ask me, like, what, why should you coach me in my business when you don't own one? And I was very open about that. I was never trying to like hide the fact that I owned a Dent Pro, because I didn't. I worked for my dad for a long time. Granted, I owned a piece of it and I was essentially running it for the last 4 years, but my dad was my original client, and the fact that it was his business, and he brought me in to essentially look at the business and guide him on what he should do. And that's exactly what a coach does. And so when I started doing that, I was like, I don't even know if I should do this, because like, I don't own a business. Why should someone listen to me? But he was actually my original client, is that I looked at his business from an outside, non-emotional perspective. And we're going to get into the emotions of business here in a minute. When you're in the emotions of business, it's really hard to see which moves you should make, because it's yours. It's your money. It's your history. It's your brand. It's all that stuff. And so for me, it was easy to coach my dad along. Hey, we should do this. We should do this. We should do this. Some stuff he did, some stuff he didn't, just like most of my clients too. And so I think it actually put me in a really good position to actually help several dozen people one-on-one coaching over the last several years. So
yeah, I think in order to be, famous words from my mom, she said, I want to do this, I want to do this. She knows I was very ambitious. And she used to say, Michael, in order to be a great leader, you have to be a great follower first, right? So you have to learn to follow, right? And I think that's what you end up doing. Even though you were doing that, you were being taught the business. You went to college, right? You saw from the outside. You were in the business, working with your dad. Your dad was still calling the shots, but you were following him, right? You were learning, basically. Same thing with me. When I end up finally saying, "Hey, Daryl, we need to do this," when I was with Dent, which was my stepdad, 10 years, right? We need to do this, we need to do that. But he wasn't willing to see the, opportunity, shall I say. And so I think that makes a lot of sense what you're saying. So yeah, that's really good. So
Thank you.
can we now, can I mention, when are you launching PDR Launchpad?
So it's ready to go. That's something you and I mean, I need to upload the videos to you and you can put it on Dent Trainer. I don't know how long that takes. The podcast and all that stuff is going to go October 31st. It's going to be ready for October 31st. Okay. So if we can get it ready on Dent Trainer October 31st, then let's
shoot for that. Let's say early October, or late October, early November. So we'll call it that. Okay?
So it's a few weeks. Well, a few weeks from our recording date, at least.
Well, from just our recording time right now. Cool. I'm looking forward to that. Now, let's talk about this emotion stuff now. So Joe and I talk about this. We kind of implemented a little bit here and there. I mean, as far as the, we off camera, or excuse me, off the podcast, we will call each other and we'll say, well, how's it going? It's this, it's that, and then we talk about emotions, right? We're like, well, it's kind of like a roller coaster sometimes. And then Joe was really expressing to me certain emotions, and I was expressing to him certain emotions. I was like, I don't think people realize they feel that, but I don't feel like they express or they're aware enough of what it causes them. You know what I mean? Does that make sense, Cory?
I mean, that's literally what a coach is for. So like, that's exactly what I would do, is I would have conversations about people's business with them. And we would talk about those things, and I would identify what's happening, because it's really hard to identify that stuff on your own, in your own head, because you're the one feeling that emotion. And then I would say, hey, and then when you identify it, they're like, oh, fuck, yeah, you're exactly right. That's why I've been doing this, is because of this. And then you can course correct. And that's just it's a lifelong journey. It's a weekly journey. I mean, you guys all been in business for a long time, and I've been around it, kind of running business, and now running a business for 20 years. And you have to do it every week, every day, sometimes every minute.
I feel like there's a lot that we can control, and there's a lot that we can't, right? Mm-hmm. And for me, when if something's going to make me have anxiety or make me feel uncomfortable, I try to put it in perspective as much as I can and say, is this something I can control, or is this something I can't control? And if it's something I can't control, I am not going to let it control my emotion, right? I'm not going to give it that opportunity to do that. So I'm not saying it's that easy for everybody. Joe, I'm sure you have your perspective on things. So
absolutely. Cory, you mentioned, early in the conversation today, I don't know if it was during our live chat here, but you had mentioned, you're kind of an A-type personality, and, you have your own, or you've experienced your own sense of panic at times when business slowed down. And I think, everyone's on their own journey, and we all have our own way of dealing with things. Like what I was telling Mike earlier today when we spoke, we were talking about, my phone hasn't been ringing as much as it normally does, and I noticed that because, I'm on the other side where, I am trying to get Paul Corden pricing for everything I do. And what that means is that in a certain amount of calls that I get per week, I pretty much know that many of these calls are coming from a direction of where they feel that PDR is a cheaper option. Yes. And I do my best to, Mike and I talk about sales as well. And we record our conversations, with our prospects. And, so I do my best to try and persuade them to go with my route. But at the same time, if they're just not looking for top grade PDR, I will be the first one to say, you're probably better off working with someone else. And so I leave room on my schedule for high ticket jobs primarily. But the other side of that is that, of course, when it gets quiet, it gets real quiet,
and you get scared. Yeah,
yeah, it gets scary. And I've found out that for me, the way my emotions work is that I tend to be a little bit reluctant to answer that call when one does come in, because I know that I'm going for a price guide, retail price guide pricing, and that I know there's a chance that that person on the other end of the line isn't going to really be looking for that type of repair. And so I think subconsciously I was feeling like, I don't want to feel that pain, but I wasn't even thinking about it. So I was avoiding even calling leads back, potential money just being waited, just waiting to pay me,
If you were my client, what the mindset shift that I would try to give to you is that you're thinking about all those conversations about how they benefit you. And most of the time when we do things that benefit us, it's like a win-lose scenario. But if you could flip your mindset on saying, and this is what I've done with my customers, basically saying like, I'm going to educate the customers. And granted, I do all price guide, highest prices I can get, full price guide, everything. And I'm spending time educating them. And so when I get any call now, I'm like, I'm going to educate this customer. So even if the customer doesn't want that high price or doesn't understand why that high price, I could feel like I'm helping my business. I'm helping the industry. I'm helping the customer understand where these prices come from, why they work that way, why we charge that much. And so now every time I get calls, I look at it as another opportunity to further my business, further the industry, and just help teach that customer something, because they may not pay your prices this time, but if you educated them properly and they choose a different route, most likely now they're going to do that thing for themselves that you were doing, is comparing the win-lose. And they're like, shit, I probably should have gone the other way, especially if the guy does a bad job. Right. So I would say that's what I would tell you as a mindset shift. I'm like, okay, next week between our call now and our next call is, I would say every time you pick up the call is like, hey, another opportunity to educate a customer.
Yes. So. Yes. You're serving them one way or another. Right. That's great.
Jared has a question, not to change topic, but Joe, do you try to steer towards insurance? Tell them it would be a cost $2,000, but you only owe your deductible.
Yes. I try to find out their needs first, though. And I think where I run into a little bit of a brick wall sometimes is amazingly the amount of people that are really genuinely just looking for the cheapest option. And, and I like I said, I record my conversations, and I go back and I listen, and that's another great way to, like what you guys are talking about developing, and even just these podcasts, as we record ourselves and we go back and listen, we're sharpening the blade always, constantly. And so going back to Jared's question, we sometimes I don't go directly into price right away.
Yeah.
Ryan Brewer over here is mad that I'm podcasting without him.
Is that Ryan?
I guess it says Facebook user, but I mean,
you probably know what it is. Yeah,
it's gotta be. It's gotta be him.
The more all we use Mobile Tech RX, the more customers will get to use the pricing. So today I have.
Again, and that's educating a customer, right? Like, even if a customer, I know they want the cheapest price, I'll spend 2 minutes and I'll make the Mobile Tech RX estimate and send it to them, because that gives them something to compare to the other guy who's like $250, and they'll see the difference. They'll see the professionalism difference, the way you talk to them difference, how you educated them difference. And then they'll go get that cheaper price and they'll be like, I see why now.
Yeah, that's why I feel like it's important. And here's Jason says, as a car detailer, I do the same thing. Convincing someone to spend $200 to $300 on a detail is pretty tough.
That's a whole nother. You don't convince people to spend $200 to $300. That the money is not even nothing. You just tell them the experience they're going to gain from getting their vehicle detailed. That's a whole nother subject, and something I would coach differently on is that, like, just using the word convincing in a sales argument, not going to work. If you have that mindset going into it, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
We're not convincing anybody. They can't, like, there's literally no reason why someone should fix a dent, except for that it makes them pissed off. That's it.
Yeah.
It's really the only reason. Yeah. It's cosmetic.
Luxury, right?
Yeah. And so convincing somebody to buy high-end purse is not, it doesn't happen. You don't convince them when they walk in there. You show them what they'll get when they have it. And then you don't have to convince them. Just the different play on words, but we're talking about emotions and mindset. And when you roll these things around in your mind, like, I got to convince this person, just the way it comes out is different. So if you're saying like, I want this person to pay me the highest price possible, the way that your conversation comes out is different than like, hey, I'm just going to educate the hell out of this customer. If they pick me, awesome. You know?
Yeah. If you can match the emotion of how they're going to feel and identify that to them, it's like a woman who goes buys an expensive purse. I mean, there's women out there that are buying $25,000 purses and they're proud to talk about it. Okay. They're proud to brag about it. Because why? Because it's giving them an emotion, right? It's helping them that look at me, I can afford this purse, right? It's the most expensive purse, right? It might not be better than any other purse out there or Coach or whatever.
Carries money.
But I think if you can become the art of selling the emotion instead of selling the service, right? Or selling the convincing part, right? Have a different mindset of that. I'm starting to just touch into that right now. I really am. You know, I'm clearly starting to see really those type of customers and these type of customers, right? And Joe and I talked about it many times here. You will have some competition that has all 5-star reviews, but believe me, it's very hard to get a 1-star or 3 stars in this business. But there are different clients who don't care about the highest quality. All they cared about was the best price that made their dent didn't look as obvious to them, and they think it's wonderful. How many of the times have you guys done a repair and you're not even 80% through and they're like, that's awesome, that looks great, and they're happy, man, right?
Weekly.
How many of those techs actually stop? Whoops, I don't have to do that last 10 to 15%, right?
That's the hard part anyways.
And they get a 5-star review. I'm just telling you that, you know, there's a bunch of different people out there, you know, clients that will, you don't get mad. That's just not your client, you know? So, you know, and me and Joe, that's how we go through this all the time. And this is, I think any podcast, Cory, and you're doing it, and Joe and I, we say it's therapeutic, and obviously it's therapeutic for our listeners because they go through it as well. You guys listening go through it as well. So,
and I have an episode of my podcast. I don't know what number it is. Maybe I'll look, but I talk about turning your customers into your salespeople for you. And most people, well, maybe not most, a lot of people that get paintless dent repair done are curious about what the hell you're actually doing, because no one's ever had it happen. So every time, and this happens, like I would say 50% of my customers, they kind of linger for a minute. They're like not sure if they're like allowed to stay or should stay or whatever. And I always invite them and say, hey, come for 5 minutes. Trust me, you'll get bored, but let me just show you what I'm doing. And I'll spend those 5 minutes and say, I'm wedging the window open. I'm taking this apart. I'm pushing on the metal. This is aluminum. Here's the tip I'm using. Here's why I'm using a broad tip. And I'm going to go to a sharp tip. And I'll give them just a little 5-minute scenario. And pretty much the only thing they get out of that is like, wow, this guy knows her shit. That's all. That's all. They're like, damn, I don't really understand half of what he said, but like he knows what's up. So like we're cool. And people love, they love fascination, right? Like Discovery Channel, or like, you know, if you watch like something about space, people love the fascination part of it. So if you can make someone fascinated in what you're doing, they're more likely to tell somebody that about you. And they're like, it wasn't just like, he didn't just come like bang a dent out. Like this dude knew it. Like this dude like lived the stuff. And so if you can do that for your customers, whether it's on the phone or in person, you can really start turning those people into salespeople for you. They're going to point dents out now because they're like, I know this thing that no one else knows because this guy taught me all this stuff. Like, oh, you should, he could fix that. You should just call him up. He got you.
They really do feel your energy, don't they?
Yeah. That's the main thing, is giving them an experience about, you know, your service, right? You're painting the picture for them about how it's going to be when you do it and how it's going to be after you're done. And you're trying to set the tone and painting the picture of their emotion, how it's going to be, right? Joe, are you still using rapid repair, PDR repairs?
Facebook user asks, Joe, are you still using the rapid repairs? I do not promote them. I'm not opposed to doing them, but I'm just not cut out for rapid repairs, man. I'm kind of
No, he's not. He's
I'm kind of
not.
set in my ways, you know.
We are two different techs, and we work together very often. In fact, we're gonna do something together not too long from now, but I will talk about that in a second. But I wanted to get to Mr. Dent Master here. In fact, I missed my meeting with him. So I sent you a text. You didn't reply back yet. So anyway,
your fault, Scott.
yeah, if you tell the customer to let me educate on key factors, aluminum body, etc., I noticed the ears and mind open up to it. So yeah.
And that's the idea, open their mind, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So recently I had a customer come in. They came from LA, and they said, Mike, I want to get I have hail damage. I've got a 2001 BMW. He sent me his photos, and it was like it was whacked. And I said, well, if you're gonna come all the way from LA, I just want to let you know it's gonna be a $250. I need it, a $250 for my time to estimate this, because I really wanted to see if you're serious, and that's what I charge.
Yeah.
And so no problem. Makes an appointment, comes over here, and I looked at the car, and it's a 2001 740i, dude. Right? You can tell it's in pretty good shape, but it was plumpled. Right? Older couple. Now, I didn't want to take their money at this point, dude, because they came all the way from LA, and I said, look, if this is going to be at least an $8,000, $9,000 repair, I recommend your insurance company is just going to total this. They're going to salvage your car. I don't want to salvage it. It's like, well, I haven't even given you the full estimate, but I'm going to tell you that's right off the bat. That's fine. Just please go ahead and give me the estimate. Oh, okay. So pull it in, do the estimate. Came out to $12,320. I walked in very slowly, told him, said, hey, I just want to let you know this is the cost. And so, I'm sorry, but I know this is way more than probably what your car is worth. But I mean, unfortunately, this is a lot of work. Mike, let's just go ahead and take care of it. I will worry about the insurance later. I just don't want it, and I do not want to wreck my car. How did he find me? He found me through a body shop in Los Angeles who watches me and follows me on Instagram and follows me on YouTube. They referred them, and they told them to go watch my stuff. And I'm just telling you, if you do your homework and if you do your leg work like Joe's doing, because those are the ones you're doing, Cory, you're doing your stuff. If you do your leg work and your groundwork on what type of client you're going to get, you will get those clients. Yeah. So we have them booked for Monday. Joe is going to help me because I freaking can't do this car all by myself. I'm training as well. And so I'm going to be tag teaming with them after hours as well. So but I'm just letting you know, though, ladies and gentlemen, there's people out there that will pay for your service, your brand, how you portray yourself out there. So.
Yeah, and I'll point out too, like, and I've done that situation too, where basically you got on their side and made the number of Mobile Tech RX the bad guy, essentially, and you're like, it wasn't like, oh, it's going to be 12 grand. Like, holy shit, how could this guy charge 12 grand for this? You're like, hey, just FYI, it's going to be super expensive. I'm looking out for you. I'm just telling you, hey, the car's going to total. And they're like, I don't want it to total. You're like, all right. And then you come even with the price, you're like, hey, I like, this is a pretty high number. Like, I fully admit that. I'm not even saying like it's cheap. It's freaking expensive. I'm on your side. Like, do what you want with it. And so that's just like another, and you probably picked up on that. You probably did that just because like the way they carry themselves or how old they were or whatever, you kind of sold them in that way. And that way really worked, because if someone came in and told them like, look, 12 grand, not a penny less, it's beat. Like, I don't even want to do this thing, but like I will for this number, they might not have wanted you to do it. But like you did it in a subtle way. And so there's all these little tiny
well, I guess look, Cory, I think if you're a genuine, honest business person who runs your business the way you're supposed to damn run it, you're going to have a successful business. You will.
I
It doesn't
agree.
mean you're
Yeah.
not going to be slow at times.
Yeah.
But you are still going to be successful.
Or swing and miss on those for sure.
You might not build it as rapid as fast as you want, but if you stay consistent, right, and keep going the way you want to, you're going to get what you want. You're going to get there. Right. But I would say mainly the part is stay genuine and don't cheat
100%.
people, man.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I totally agree with you.
That's awesome. Where coaching comes in, right?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, there's many different ways to get coached. There's groups to be involved with. One-on-one coaching. Paul Corden offers, like, if you have pricing situations like that, I think he's doing just like 1 hour coaching. Like, call me, pay me for an hour. It's probably expensive. It's probably higher than maybe you'd want to pay, but I guarantee it's worth it. But there's many different ways to get coached. And I'd encourage everybody to go down that road for sure.
Yeah. Self-awareness is key, I think. And sometimes we need someone else to be able to point those little obstacles that we create for ourselves.
Yeah, for sure. Post the video. Jason wants the video of your beat Dent, your beat 01 BMW.
Yeah, it's I wouldn't say it's Joe and I've seen it, huh? Well, believe me, it's going to be on Monday.
It'll be a video, yeah.
So, believe me, we are going to see it. Yeah, okay. It's just,
I guarantee one thing,
the Milky Way, bro. Like all the panels can be saved. It's just we're going to be there a minute, dude. So.
we have both fixed worse for less, so we'll just leave it
there you go.
Yeah,
perfect.
That's true. We have fixed worse for less, dude. Yeah,
that's awesome.
But yeah, other than that, I think I got one more thing here. Hold on a second here.
I got more too. Always. I could talk for hours. I won't.
Yeah.
I'm tired too.
Do you have a long day, Cory?
Yeah, just normal. I try to keep it 9 to 5 pretty well.
Good.
So that's my day.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So we are Joe and I have been working on this. You guys seen this already. This line board here. These are 1/8-inch lines. Actually, these are 1/8-inch lines right here. So super fine lines, but on the back side you have your price guide video. Price guide. Now Joe was going to be on here, but we discussed, anyways, we have our reasons why. But I wanted him to be on here, but we'll talk about that.
Well, our concern was, we did, we worked together on this, and that was a price guide that I came up with based on the Paul Corden style price guide last year, actually. And I wanted to actually raise my prices. I felt it was time, and I wanted to go a little bit, just divert a little from the standard $154 or whatever it's at right now. And so I wanted it to be a little bit higher, but I also wanted it to stand apart a little bit, both for marketing purposes, but also because I didn't want to ever get any confusion with price fixing or anything like that. Mike comes in and he sees the price guide and he thought, you know what? I like that. And, he added his, the lines on there. So we felt like, putting one name on there that's, I think, the right way to go. I think we just didn't want any price fixing ideas.
He's being super humble, but
I can tell.
Anyways, this is a true price guide here. Let me just I guess I'll go here. Okay, so basically it is very accurate. Oh, it's right here. This one. It's very accurate to 10 inches. Okay. So you guys seen a video that actually went pretty dang viral using this video, right? I mean, this board. So we had a dent, and what I do is I'd put it here and then I'd mark it and then I'd flip it and then I would measure the dent. Now I have it on a lock line too. It's in the shop right here, but I'll put it on the car and I will mark it and then I'll show the client, like, this is what it is. This is my factors. And then the client goes, okay, yeah. Mainly, they're not even really reading it really hard. They're just, what they're doing? They're saying, okay, this guy's got a menu.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He's not making up crap in his head. All right. They don't even argue. My techs are using these now. Okay. They're not arguing. If the customer goes, well, can you give it to me cheaper? I really can't, sir. Cause look, I'm already right at here. I'm already giving you a little bit lower than what my standard cost is. Done. No more arguing. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you don't have something like this, and I'm not saying you have to, but look, you can still use it as a board if you're a line board tech, or mainly this is really meant for the customer, the client to see, identify quickly what their dent looks like true. Okay. So they're like, oh, I didn't realize it goes all the way from here to there. I thought it was just, no, that's why we have these reflection right here. So this isn't necessary for everybody to use as a board, but you can use it as a dent board as well and have your price guide on it too as well. So these will be going on pre-sale. You'll save, I'm not going to decide, but you'll save a little bit of money, anywhere between $5 to $10. Okay. I'm not sure how much yet, but we'll put it on there, but I will have it in there within a day or two on the Dent Time store. So, okay. And I'll put a link here as soon as I get the link ready. Okay. But just want to let you guys know they are ready to go. Okay.
I like that. So, you just use it when you go to the dealership lots, you use that board, and then everyone walks by and just see your prices as you walk by.
You know what's, hey, the wholesale account, look at how many times you got to say, damn, I wish I had my price guide to show him what kind of value he's getting.
Yeah. I've done that. Every wholesale customer now that I price a dent on, I say, well, retail price on this dent is X through my price guide, but for you, it's 40% off or whatever it is.
Yeah,
depending
exactly.
On how much.
Yeah, that's what I do. I give them 30%. I'm like, here's my price guide. This is my retail price guide. I'm going to give you 30%. We're doing a hail car for $1,500 for a wholesale account because of this thing.
Yeah,
because of this.
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
So I mean, there's no more making up. Like I tell people, you don't go into battle without weapons, man. Right? You're going to get killed.
Yeah,
you're going to get killed. I had my customers contact saying your pricing is higher than others, but all your reviews say you're honest, so I'm going with you. I've had that a lot too as well. You're 100% right, dude, Jacob. That's Jacob, by the way.
Customer is Jacob?
That's Jacob, yeah.
I thought it was Scott Mize. Dent Master.
Dent Masters Bay Area? That's Jacob.
Oh.
Is it?
What is Scott? Yeah, he'll tell us. I lost my train of thought. What I was gonna say. We talked about that.
The thing about the price guide is, I mean, we've been calling it the assessment guide because number one, it is a roadmap. It actually keeps me on track when I'm, evaluating a dent. Okay, obviously we have the size here. We have where is it located? It's on a body line. Are we obstructed? Yes, we've got an obstruction. It even has me looking for previously repainted surface, so it keeps us honest. But it's also a boundary. We're setting boundaries, and that's what goes into our, Mike and I, one of the things that we've bonded on years ago is that we were both attaching our pricing onto our videos, some of the videos, and then on our posts and social media, and saying, look, this is a dent. This is how we fix it. Here's what it looks like when it's done. And this is what the cost is. And not out of bragging, not out of, trying to induce sticker shock or alienate anyone or piss anybody off. It was for the sake of transparency.
Yeah.
To let them know this is what we charge for this kind of work. So it is kind of a setting a boundary. And that I like that about the pricing guide. You guys mentioned the wholesalers when they ask you, hey, I have a car lot. I have several cars for you. We've all heard it. Well, here's where we start. And it's as much of a, hey, come over here, we can fix your car, or as it is as a go away price. Yeah. Because it cleans the slate and it gets those nachos out of the way. And it's a great tool for that as well.
That's right.
100%. Yeah,
that's right.
For sure.
Well, I go ahead, Cory. You got anything?
I'll say, mention? It sounds like we ended up. I just want to say a couple of things. So, I appreciate you, Mike, what you've done for the industry as far as the dent repair training stuff. Obviously, you've been doing it for a long time and super necessary. And grateful that we have that now. The PDR industry is unique in a way where it's like, I don't know if there's another industry where PDR guys are really the ones that are creating everything for the industry. There's not really like an outside source doing that. The PDR guys create the tools, the PDR guys create the training, the PDR guys do the training. It's interesting, but the role that I want to be able to play is I want to be able to legitimize the industry as far as creating a pathway for success in it. I think for so long, Mike, you've been doing this forever. My dad started in 1991. There was literally no pathway. It was the wild, wild west. It was figure it out, try to make it happen. How do you even see a dent? Let me make my own tools, all that type of stuff. And I feel like we're kind of getting to this point now, especially over the last year. Obviously, Paul Corden has a lot to do with the pricing, and now he has a lot to do with pushing more towards insurance companies, right? And things like that. More people are going into shops. It's becoming just the entire industry is becoming just more legitimate throughout the entire process. But one thing we don't have is if someone asks you, hey, how do I get into the industry? There's not a pathway to do so. There's oh, maybe go check out Dent Trainer, start there. Or maybe if you know a guy, or maybe practice in your garage or whatever. So I think where I can contribute is I want to be able to try to create that pathway. So this is the start of that. So when I consider a pathway to get into the industry, the first question is like, get training, right? Like nothing, you don't get anything in the world for free. Like if you go to college to learn something, or you go to a trade school or whatever, those don't exist for paintless dent repair. So if you want to start a business, like you got to invest money up front. You got to invest anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000 into training, and then anywhere from 5 to 10 or more dollars into the tools as well, right? It's a business. You got to put up. I feel like so many people are like, oh, it's super cheap to start a dent company. Like buy $1,000 in tools and you're a dent guy. Anyways, step number 1, go to training. Step number 2, and come out, hopefully PDR Launchpad and more series like it help answer how do you start a business. The other side of that after training is there's 2 ways. You either you start a business, or you go work for somebody. That doesn't really exist in this industry. So something that I started last year that I never really worked on very much is a website called Recruitatech. Do you remember that, Mike? We talked about it a little bit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's my answer for how do you go work for somebody? And so that's my attempt to try to solve that problem is training. Then you go 2 ways. You go start a business or work for somebody. Those are really the only 2 options to do. So if you want to start a business, PDR Launchpad. If you want to go work for somebody, Recruitatech. And then after that, I actually have mastermind groups to help people continue down that process, like basically a group coaching program called the Young Guns PDR 20 group, which has now been turned into the Masters of Recon mastermind group. So really my whole goal is, for those of you that don't know me, and I see some new names on here, like I tried to bring coaching and the mindset and the educational side of what I know, and quite frankly, what a lot of other people know, Gene Fetty and Matt Moore and all these other guys, is a conglomeration of all their ideas to help give a pathway to people that are trying to enter into the industry, so that you can see, you go here, you do this step, you training, then you do this, and then you join this group, and then you do here. And this is how you can be successful in paintless dent repair, instead of like, just go to training and then go figure it out yourself. You know what I mean? So just to kind of encompass everything that I'm doing and the things I have out now, with more stuff to come, that's my focus. I don't create tools. I don't train people how to do paintless dent repair. I don't do any of that stuff. I just focus on all the business things. So
dang, dude. So look out for the PDR Launchpad going on denttrainer.com. And Cory, what's your handle and where can they find you at as well?
On Instagram, I'm at Coach Cory K. On Facebook is my name. But typically is what I use is Cory. Last name Kleinfeldt, Klein. Type that in, you'll find me. Cory Klein should be good enough. And yeah, my podcast, that's probably where I talk to people the most. And my podcast I have out right now is Masters of Recon. And I think there's 110 episodes or so out there
already.
So.
110.
Well, I mean, I shifted PDR coach into Masters of Recon.
Okay, gotcha.
So there's 100 PDR coach episodes and 8 or 10 Masters of Recon episodes.
Okay.
Yeah. I rebranded it basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
cool.
that's what I decided to do. So anyways, yeah, thanks for having me come on and talk to your people that probably don't maybe know who I am or follow me about what I'm doing. And thanks for letting me be a part of Dent Trainer, so I didn't have to build out my own whole friggin' video website. I do not want to do that.
No. Well, thank you for being on board, and looking forward to seeing your videos, and I think everybody will have a great time too. So
for sure.
Thanks again, Cory.
All right,
Joe, you got anything to add at this?
Yeah, actually, I do encourage our viewers and listeners to go back and check out all of Cory's podcasts, because there's a lot of great episodes in there. And like I said before, Cory, you do really good interviews of some really big name people, professionals in our industry on all levels and from all different ends of the spectrum. And you ask great questions, and there's a lot of information there. So go check that out.
One second here. I answer this. Vince, well, my name's Mike, but I'm in charge of the Dent Trainer. But if you have any issues, you can email us at denttrainerinfo@gmail.com or denttrainer@gmail.com. Okay, Javier, and we'll get you taken care of and squared up. Okay, thank you. And thanks for being a member as well. Randy, thanks for the input, guys. Really appreciate everything. Appreciate you hanging in there, dude. Great show, boys. Matt Armeo. Thank you, Matt. And Javier, Mike, sorry. Yes. All right. You got it, Javier. Hit me up later, and then we'll get you squared up. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching.
Hey, Mike, real quick. Did you want to show the little bonus video of the...
I didn't see it. Where's the video? Because I was looking for the Joe.
I texted it to you.
And I got...
We can show it next time.
Hold on. I got the... I just want to double check because some of our listeners. You know why I didn't see it? Because it gave a little tiny thumbnail, Joe. So sorry, dude. So
no worries, man. We'll show it next time.
We'll do it on the next one. So what was it about?
I'm excited. What is it?
It was just that hey man, I do a lot of video, Cory, and I like to include point of views. Of the Dent coming out, like a lot of guys do, and I like to have a second camera while I'm working, just to show a little bit of what we do. But some of the listeners last couple times were asking, what our setups were, and guys mentioned tripods. I had to get a new tripod. I broke one, but I found a link on Amazon. There's $20. They've got, in fact, I can just say what it is here. So it's like a low base tripod that stays out of your way. It's not the traditional style tripod that gets in your way while you're trying to fix the dent behind the camera, if you know what I mean.
Oh, I can play it, dude. I got it.
Got it?
Hold on. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, just what's up, Mike? So this is a quick little video to show this tripod that I picked up on Amazon for like $20. It's after seeing the one that you use with the low base like that. So I found these two. I ended up getting two, one for my GoPro and one for my iPhone. It's a pretty good deal, and it's a pretty sturdy little device. And what's nice about it, obviously you know this, but I wanted to share this with our listeners. The base is nice and low profile, as you could see in that video, and that just keeps it out of my way when I'm doing videos, when I'm trying to do especially the point of view video. As you can see, I'm using my GoPro on this one. But the cool thing about this is that it also comes... when you buy it, it comes with both an attachment for your smartphone as well as an attachment for your GoPro if you're using a GoPro. So just wanted to share that, and at the end of the video you'll see just a screenshot of the Amazon listing and the name of the company as well.
Yeah, so these things are they're really super compact, and they work really well for the way I use them. It goes up to 62 inches tall. So, and you'll see in the video here, it's almost done.
That's similar to what I use, because I want to get that perspective. Yeah, that's pretty tall too. So that's perfect, dude. I always like to I always put it in front of me half the time, because I want people get the same kind of perspective of what I'm doing. So how important is that? And look how nice and wide that is too. So it's not going to tip over in the middle of, nice. Filming. And so there it is, $20, dude.
That's freaking wild, dude. $20. I'm terrible. I'm terrible at making videos. Terrible. I actually doing.
You're not terrible. You just don't make time. That's
I know. I know. I don't make time to do it.
Well, you're successful, man. You've got plenty to do.
Yeah, that's a trap, though. It's a trap.
Yeah.
I got to be successful next year too, though. You know,
it is a trap. It is a trap.
It's
Trust
a trap.
me, I've been in the trap for 2 decades on videos, dude. So
yeah, well, I mean, it's a trap that I don't do enough of them because I am busy and booked out for weeks, and I run 4 appointments a day, and sometimes there's a lot. But anyway,
and a family, and a family,
and a family.
Right.
Yeah,
you're still young. You got.
I got time. I got time to make videos.
Listen, guys, we took up enough of everyone's time.
Yeah.
Listen, I appreciate you guys. Joe, thanks for being on again. As always, we're coming in late because I did accommodate to Joe. Joe called me. He's like, we doing a podcast tonight? I go, oh, shoot, I forgot to tell you it's 8:00, dude. So,
all right. I played Go Fish with my kiddos. So
perfect.
I was waiting.
Awesome. Yeah,
Cory, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Thank you,
and
guys.
we'll see you back on our show
later
on in the future. Okay.
Let me know.
All right, guys. Take care.
See you guys. Thank you.
Later.